that we've gotten through the prior 4-year cycle. We've been sitting around talking, all of us, soft landing, hard landing, recession. I think that cycle where the Fed was raising interest rates and raised interest rates dramatically from 0 to 5.25, that cycle's over. I think yesterday signaled, or Jackson Hole actually signaled the end of that cycle. We're now into a new cycle where the Fed's now on the other side of their dual mandate. And I think we're now also in a cycle where we are renormalizing. We're going back to normal, what a normal economy, what a normal interest rate curve looks like in the United States.
Are you sure?
What a normal...
It's not normal for me. It's normal in the last 15 years.
It is normal in the last 100 years.
Yeah.
If you look at what normality looks like, what normal unemployment looks like, what a normal yield curve looks like. The zero interest rate world was the abnormal part.
We're going back there as quick as we can.
This is where I agree with Gary. We're going back to normal dynamics. But to extend the soft landing analogy, we're landing in a different airport. I mean, we are definitely landing this economy in a much different place.
It's been an exciting week. Thanks for having me on. I'm here in town working on Pager international supply chains and stuff. It's kind of fun.
Are you really?
No, that's a joke because of what happened.
Because of what happened. Well, there are people who are saying it was Palantir involved with that.
I mean, if it was, we wouldn't be able to tell you. So
you'd have to kill us if you told us.
Because lower borrowing costs will support economic growth. And it's an important signal from the Federal Reserve to the nation that after repeated interest hikes to cool down inflation, inflation has come back down, and the Fed is switched to lowering rates to keep the country growing, economy growing. At its peak, as you all know, inflation was 9.1% in the United States. Today, it is much closer to 2%. It doesn't mean our work is done. Far from it. Far from it. No one should confuse why I'm here. I'm not here to take a victory lap. I'm not here to say a job well done. I'm not here to say we don't have a hell of a lot more work to do. We do have more work to do. But what I am here to speak about is how far we come, how we got here, and most importantly, the foundation that I believe built for a more prosperous and equitable future in America. So let's be clear. The Fed lowering interest rates isn't a declaration of victory. It's a declaration of progress.
Real problem.
So let me just finally ask you, we'll end on Elon Musk, and you talked to him. It was not a good investment for him or the bankers in Twitter. Is he still happy that he did that, and does he feel like he took one for the team? So he's not. He's getting a lot of backlash. Maybe people I've seen on a Tesla, on a bumper sticker that says "Elon, shut up." I've seen things like that.
If Elon hadn't bought Twitter, if Elon hadn't done this, the entire West would be at 10x the threat in terms of, our civilization works, Joe, because we have free speech, because we have property rights, we have meritocracy. So he doesn't care
about the $40 billion.
These basic values are at threat. Yep. And no, listen, X is up 25% or so year over year. It's up 25% year over year. The revenue's down, of course, because the brands all went at him, because the brands are run by people who are not tied to the values of Western civilization.
Yeah, but that's not a free speech argument. If the brands don't want to support you, they don't have to.
They absolutely don't have to. Yeah. And but there are people being sued right now who did illegal coordination to try to attack it, which probably was illegal.
Is it illegal to say, I'm not going to put my ads there anymore, are you?
That's not illegal at all, but to coordinate behind the scenes with lies and to do something that's a cartel trying to crush something, that's not necessarily appropriate. And so I think that's got to come out in the courts, and we'll see what they did.
Okay.
So he's not thin-skinned and sensitive. I don't think at all, is he?
He's fighting to save Western civilization. I think a lot of us are trying to do so as well. This is a huge time for.
But I'm scared when I try to do it. I don't think he's scared. But and I'm thin-skinned.
Well, it's been an exciting week. Thanks for having me on. I'm here in town working on Pager international supply chains and stuff. It's kind of fun.
Are you really?
No, that's a joke because of what happened.
Because of what happened. Well, there are people who are saying it was Palantir involved with that.
I mean, if it was, we wouldn't be able to tell you. So
you'd have to kill us if you told us.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
Make sure you're joining the patrons. If you're not a part of the patrons, make sure you're hitting the Cash App. And guys, make sure you go like and follow the TikTok. And you can't make this stuff up. Remember, guys, your life is an illusion and TV is your reality. Don't forget the FDIC video I brought to you several occasions. You had Jay Clayton and Gary Cohen side by side. And here they come, side by side. And we see them several times on CNBC together. But in the FDIC video, the lady says that they've been planning with these banks when you're talking about consolidation and closures 10 years ago. And she stated they would happen on Friday. And what did we see? Bank closures on Friday and plenty of consolidations. And then on top of it now, we have Jay Clayton saying all the things are going to be the same, but we're going to land in a different place. And we know what he's talking about, the fourth industrial revolution. Remember, the legacy market, all of it's going to stay the same. It's just going to be tokenized and put on blockchain, making things faster, cheaper, but it gives the control in a few hands. And then on top of it, this money is going to be programmable, telling you what, when, how to buy, and you have 3 to 6 months to spend it or poof, it's gone. And the blockchain gives the NWO the all-seeing eye. And guys, that's biblical. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. And then again, we have the jokes, we have the movie. Now, this is a comedy movie. We have Lonsdale makes a joke on the pager incident in the Middle East. And then she comes back and says Palantir may have had something to do with it. And he starts laughing. Guys, this is unbelievable. And we know anytime the CEO of Palantir talks, he always says adversary, like we're in a Marvel movie. All his terminology comes from out a comic book. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. And we have old man Joe Biden comes from behind the curtain. And since the Fed cuts rates, we get a little boost. And of course, they bring them out. But guys, we know inflation hasn't went anywhere. And we saw the yield rate start to spike as soon as we had Jerome Powell exit. And like I told you in the earlier video, this is just a temporary pump. And then we have Lonsdale on Elon. Says that Elon is trying to save Western civilization. And again, guys, this is a comedy movie. Elon is doing nothing but pushing the fourth industrial revolution. That if the sheep don't understand the technology, of course his technology will enslave them. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. Now, if you listen to my YouTube stock video I did a couple days ago, then you know I did a video on dividend stocks and how important it's going to be. You definitely want to be on the defensive as the Fed is cutting rates, because the sheep think since they're cutting rates, that's going to be a good thing. No, it's not. All these trillions of dollars that were sitting in these money market accounts because they could get an easy 5%, as the Fed start to cut rates, those trillions and trillions of dollars, all that Warren Buffett money that's sitting in there, it's going to start flowing in the emerging markets. And we know why, guys. The emerging markets are going to lead that fourth industrial revolution. Whether robots, algorithms, and drones take the economy over, pay each other with crypto, and the sheep go inside the metaverse. And we have recession talk. And if you're a part of the Patrons, we know that we've been in a recession. We're in a Great Depression. They don't talk about all the business bankruptcies. They don't talk about all these layoffs. And you're talking about the good jobs. But that's the reason why it's time for chaos. We know in order to bring in all this technology, they have to have a crisis. And that's the reason why you hear the drums getting louder. You have MacGyver and 007. And then you have these supply chains being affected by strikes. So while everybody's distracted on things that don't matter, you got P. Diddy, Taylor Swift. If you go look up Jack Johnson, you know the NWO has been at it. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
I'm not sure we're in a new era. First of all, this last rate cut's been very well expected from the marketplace for quite some time. I think dividend-paying stocks right now are very attractive. The valuations are fairly compelling. And over time, people might not realize this, but dividend-paying stocks actually outperform the market over a longer period of time. when we look right now, there are a number of names that we think are attractive, both from a defensive perspective as well as from an offensive perspective.
Disinvert the curve, take the pressure off small banks and small businesses. The faster they get there, the higher the probability that we avoid a recession, because to me, it already looks like we're in a small business recession that could easily spread to the rest of the economy, given that that's the foundation of the labor market.
Well, exactly.
60%.
That's where the hiring comes from. And so this is one area where a bigger rate cut will actually have an immediate effect that could really lengthen the recovery and help the people it needs to help the most. Just to go back to this point about the balance sheet, some have argued, David Zervos is one, that the large balance sheet itself has been a form of stimulus as they've done rate hikes because it's cushioned the blow instead of the traditional financial system. Is it still sort of supporting the economy? Is it working against what the Fed's been trying to do? Does it matter now?
So there's three forms of stimulus in place and one form of restriction. The only form of restriction was the policy rate. We've got $3.3 trillion in bank reserves sitting in the system, something that didn't exist pre-pandemic or pre-global financial crisis, excuse me. We've got that pressure on the back end of the balance sheet, which is holding rates probably 1% lower than they would be otherwise. And we're running 7% budget deficits and government spending at 24% of GDP. So we have a very imbalanced economy because if you're a household that owns assets, policy's easy. If you're a large non-financial corporate or a big publicly traded home builder that can finance out the curve, policy's easy. If you're a small business that borrows at a floating rate and a small bank where your return on equity is half of that of the large banks, policy's tight.
Effort to cut costs amid a strike by its largest union, CEO Kelly Ortberg said that those affected would be furloughed for 1 week out of every 4 years. The company's operations had been burning about $1 billion a month before the strike. Now, one analyst estimates that the strike could cost Boeing $500 million per week. Ortberg said he and his executive team would take a pay cut for the duration of the strike.
A strike at U.S. ports on the East and Gulf Coast is looking more likely. The International Longshoremen's Association is warning that its members will strike if they don't secure a labor deal before their contract ends on September 30th. The union is seeking a 77% wage increase over 6 years. 77%. Port employers haven't met at the bargaining table yet, and no negotiations have been scheduled. In the meantime, U.S. importers have been rushing to bring holiday goods into ports around the country. In August, container imports were up 21% from a year ago.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important.
look at it. We have been part of the huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in an ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we can have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting at more right now with Bloomberg's Shonali Bassick. Shonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told its members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets.
Now, it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy, and when the dealers have to step in to save a Treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence. And
Cryptoteacher and the new World Order book, plus the 3 kids books, is time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get home stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing, they were still getting that free money. What are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID-33. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.